Hello everyone. In this video we are going to see about the most important concepts in Python. They are list and tuple. First we are going to see about the list. List is nothing but a collection of data. Suppose if we want to store the marks of 100 students, then you don't want to create 100 variables and store it, so that you can make use of the concept of list. A list can hold n number of data inside this. So how we can access the elements in the list? To access the elements in the list, we are having a concept of index. The index values are, the index value of the first number is 0. So by accessing the list of 0, we can get the first element in the list. In the same way, in the next element, that is the index value of the second element is 1 and the third element is 2 and so on. Python also have the concept of negative indexing. The negative indexing are, if we are calling the list of -1, it corresponds to the last element in the list, and the list of -2 will implies to the previous element of the last. So in this way we can access the elements in the list. Note the point that a list is changeable. So how we can produce changes into a list? So here we have different types of methods. By using these methods we can produce changes into the list. So we are going to code it and check. So I am opening the Python shell. So first I am going to create an empty list. So for that there are many ways to create an empty list like this. Suppose if my list name is L, then I am going to say that L is equal to square brackets. This is one of the way in creating a list. The another way to create a list is in the same way L is equal to list. So in this way also you can create a list. So an empty list is created. Now we are going to add the elements into the empty list. That is, we are producing changes in the empty list. That is, to add the element into the list, we are using this append method. So L.append. You have to use the dot operator. Append. So which element you want to append, you can give with these brackets. It can be of the integer type or floating type, or it can be string. So anything you can give inside these brackets. But if you are giving string, you have to mention it with these double quotes. So now I am adding this hello world string into this empty list. So now I am printing the list. So the list with these square brackets, we are getting the string hello world. That is, we have produced changes into this list. So here I have used the print function. Don't confuse it. Just for your clearance, I have used the print function. If you also give this L and press enter, it will also give the same result. But I have used the print function because while coding in the new file, you should not be confused, so that I have used the print function here. So what is the next method? The next method is clear. The clear method clears the list, removes all the elements from the list. That is, we are having the hello world in the list L. So now we are having the hello world in this list. Now I am going to clear the list. L.clear. So I am printing while clearing. So this way also correct. L is a list and I am clearing the values of the list. So it gives the output none because the list is completely cleared. So now we are going to copy the list into another list. For example, now I am creating another list as L2 is equal to, and also another list L1 is equal to 2. Now I am going to copy this element in the L1 into this element into this list L2. For that, L list2 is equal to list1 dot copy. So printing list2 will give you the elements in the list1. So in this way you can copy the element from one list to another list. So you have to use the round brackets to mention that it is a method. So what is the next method? The next method is count. Suppose I am creating another list. L2 is equal to 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. Closing the square bracket. Now I am counting the number of elements in the list. That is, if I want to count the 2, that it should return the value 2, because 2 is 2 times repeated. That is, we have the element 2 times in this list. So L2 dot count two. This will give you the result 2. Note that while coding in the new file, you have to use the print function to get this result. So now I am using the shell, so it is easy for me. So what is the next method? The next method is extend. The extend method extends the list. That is, it is same as the append method. First I am creating the list. So in this way you can create a list. Now I am extending the list. The use of the extend is you can extend any list to inside this list. For example, I am extending inside this extend brackets. I am entering another list in these square brackets. So this is a list, and this list can be added with this list L2. So now I am printing the list 2. So it will give me the result as this. So this is correct. So what is the next method? The next method is index. The index is easy. For example, if we want to know what is the index of the first element, then you can make use of the index function. For example, I want to know what is the index of this first position, that is the element 1. So that L2 dot index of 1. So the index of the first element is 0. If I want the index of the second element, it will return 1. That is, the index of the number 2 will return 1. In this way we can use the index function. The insert function will add the element in the specified position. This is also same as the append. So next we are moving to the pop function. So the pop function will remove the element in the last. For example, here 4 is the last element in the list L2. For example, I am popping the element. So now I am printing the list. So the last element is removed. So in this way you can remove the last element by using the pop function. The next function is remove. Remove function removes the item with the specified value. For example, if I want to remove 2. This is same as the pop function, but pop removes only the element which is at the last. But using the remove, we can remove the element in the specified value. For example, I am printing remove L2. I am performing the function with this list L2. L2 dot remove two. Now I am removing the value 2. So now I am printing the list L2. So the number 2 is also removed. So in this way you can remove a specific element in the list. So the next we are going to see about the reverse function. So now I am reversing the list. In this list we have the elements 1 and 3. Now we are going to reverse the list. Now I am printing the list. So 1 3 is reversed as 3 1. So in this way you can reverse the list. So what is the next? The next is sort. So we can sort the list. Now we have the list in 3 and 1. It is in the descending order. If you want to sort it in the ascending order, then you have to use this function L2.sort. So now I am printing L2. That is the list. So again I am getting as this as ascending order. So in this way you can sort the element in the list. So these are the changes that can be used in the list. So next we are going to see about the tuple concept. So for that, so a tuple is also same as the list, but the difference between tuple and the list is elements in the tuples are entered with these round brackets, but in the list we are entered the elements in the square brackets. And note that lists are changeable, tuples are not changeable. They are immutable data types. In Python, tuples are written in round brackets. So this is the example of tuple. Here I have created a tup as a tuple. So in this way you can create a tuple. The indexing is same. We know that the tuples are immutable, that is the tuples are not changeable. So we have only two methods in this tuple. So I am going to show you what are the two methods are. The two methods are nothing but the count and the index that we have already seen in the list. So for your more clearance, T2 is equal to double round brackets. So this means we are creating an empty tuple. So if we created an empty tuple, it is not at all usable because we cannot access the elements inside this because there is no element inside this tuple, and also we cannot change anything inside this list and we cannot add anything inside this tuple. So first of all I am declaring the tuple. I am declaring it with some numbers. Now I can perform some of the functions. So T2 dot count. So this will gives you the number of repeated elements. Now I am checking it for the element 2. The 2 is not at all repeated, so it returns 1. So the next function is index. So I am getting the value of index of 4. This will give me the value 2. Because the index of 2 is 0 and the index of 3 is 1 and the index of 4 must be 2. So these are the two methods that we are using it in tuple. So today we have learned the concept of list and tuple. In the next video we are moving to dictionaries and set. So that will be more useful and that will be more interesting. So if you haven't subscribed this channel, subscribe this. So after that we are moving to the looping statements. So thank you.